What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Dermy Wormy. I'm coming at you with another installment of the G Gundam reviews. This week is episode 7, and this episode, you could actually probably argue that episode 5 was the first time you do a whole, an episode that deals with bigger issues than just fighting and the ideas of what are you fighting for. When in episode 5 we introduced Argo, personal favorite character, but in episode 5 we also learned that Argo doesn't fight for honor, doesn't fight for dreams, doesn't fight to help rebuild a Shaolin temple, and certainly isn't on a mission to basically defeat his brother and free his father. No, he only fights because he has to. Quite literally, he has to fight to survive and to make sure that his crew is perfectly safe. So this is, I'm going to say it, this is the start of where G Gundam kind of fully picks up. And instead of dealing, this is going to continue, the Gundam of the week, but some of the stories, some are going to be kind of crappy. This is a personal favorite of mine. There's another one that I don't know how far off it is, but it's a heart wrencher. Also deals with Argo, but this one very unique in its own regard. Could be considered more of a filler episode, but it has a place in my heart for what it does and what it achieves. And it's about Neo Mexico, their fighter, and what is the right decision, and what does it mean? Is doing a certain option for a loved one correct? Is abandoning your country for a loved one the correct option? That's one of the big themes of this episode. And how do you respond, and how do you handle situations like that? Chibbity Crockett returns, but one kicker. This episode is also, I might have to move my layout around because I'm all the way over here. I want to be more like right here, but that requires me moving my chair, and I'm not in the mood right now. Anyways, tangent over. This episode does have a censorship. Neo Mexico's Gundam in the Japanese version is called Gundam Tequila. Ay. But in the English version, it is called Spike Gundam. Actually, no, it's Tequila Gundam and Spike Gundam. Tequila to Spike. So, I'm going to be calling it Tequila Gundam because I think it's funnier. But anyways, let's get it started. So, we'll just, go right on ahead. We open with a look at the colony of Neo Mexico. God, I love anime. But we start off with the past. And we are introduced to two young children gazing out at the once great ocean of the Mexican Ocean, Neo Mexico Ocean. That's what it's named. And they are with their grandfather. These young children, I'll try to get a good shot of them, is young Chico, a young, oh my god, I'm blanking on her name, but it's his sister. It'll probably come back to me. It's like, Gina. Young Chico and young Gina. And they are gazing out at the Mexican Ocean. And their grandfather is telling them that this ocean used to be great and amazing, filled with fish, but he doubts there's fish there anymore. And they kindly ask, what do you think? So the ocean's dead? And he says, no, the ocean's still alive. It will thrive forever. But for right now, it has receded, but one day fish will return. And young Chico's dream is to one day go down there with his sister and become a fisherman, just like his father and just like his grandfather, and live down there in happiness with his young sister. A little A little Lannister or Targaryen thing going on there, but we're not going to talk about that. And we are then greeted by our loving narrator. I can't get it right for some reason. Right there. We're greeted by our narrator where he says Domon's basically going to be the key to this young boy's dream. And he shows off our Gundam opponent. Talks about the Dark Gundam and Domon fighting it. And we get our first glimpse at Tequila Gundam. Tequila Gundam. And it's a very unique look. Got the little green mustache. It's a unique Gundam, but I love anime, and I love G Gundam the most because it has heart, and it knows what it is. So, I don't remember the name. Domon's in some town. They don't really say it. I don't want to say it's Mexico City because I highly doubt it is. But Domon is currently looking for, if I can get it. Try not to do this too much because, Domon's looking for the fighter for Neo Mexico. And while doing it, he is being stalked by Bunny! Because Chippity wants a rematch. Let's just get it out there. Chippity wants his rematch. And she's trying to track Domon so that he can get his rematch. Domon goes to this kind old man and asks if he's seen, essentially, his brother. The man tells him no. Then he asks if he's seen the Neo Mexico fighter. And and he responds with, nope, but this country has strict... Can't get my Switch to turn on for some reason. Anyway, I'll fiddle with that later. This country has strict immigration laws, and a lot of people won't. Oh, there it goes. And a lot of people won't interact with you because of that. So it's best if you leave. We never get this guy's name, and he stays in the show. So Domon leaves, but the man in the shark jaw stands up and starts following him. Domon notices that the man's following him, turns around to ask why is he following, and I want to get it just right. Gets shot with a blow dart, and as he goes to fight, passes out, and the man looks down. We then see that Bunny notices that Domon's missing and reports back to Chippity, who is on a very gaudy, if I can get this to work, you saw it for a brief moment, a very gaudy yacht. And he's being requested by the Mexican government to kindly assist in, sorry, I'm getting ready for the G&G premium thing to play Fall Guys with them, to kindly assist with gathering up their fighter, because he has gone AWOL and they want him to help get him back. Basically, they're begging. Let's be real. And Chippity says he doesn't really want to do it. The only person he wants to fight fight Domon. There shortly, he gets the call from Bunny that they've lost track of Domon. He can't believe it, but the Mexican government picks up on the fact that Domon is Domon's here. Domon's in Mexico, and they find that interesting, and they could potentially use that to their advantage. And Chippity says, nope, only one who gets to fight Domon is me. We then cut to Domon, about to get thrown off a cliff by Chico. That is correct, ladies and gentlemen. If you already haven't pieced it together, Chico is the fighter for Neo Mexico. And he is a very talented fighter, very strong fighter, but he's not fighting. Why is he not fighting? But he's getting tired of the Mexican government coming after him, all these spies coming after him. He just wants to be left alone. And before he can throw him off, I just said, Gina. Why do I keep wanting to call her Gracie? Gina comes along to try to get Chico to stop. And Chico basically tells her, no, you shouldn't be out of bed. You should be in bed resting. Why are you up? And she says she can't handle this. She just wants to live a normal life. Can you please stop this? Just leave him alone so we can be left alone. Chico tells her, no, we can't do that. We have to do this. And then Domon gets up, still not super strong, prepares to fight Chico, basically knocks him out. And then, if I can get it, Domon starts collapsing on the ground because he's still super weak. Chico goes in for the kill. And then Gina starts coughing. A lot. Essentially a worrisome amount. And it becomes pretty obvious that Gina's sick with something. So instead of killing Domon, he picks Domon up and he takes him back to their home. We get Domon dreaming about basically everything that happened last episode. Dark Gundam, his brother, being told about his parents dying, having to fight. His father's in prison. Find your brother. Do all that. He then wakes up and Chico and Gina. Why am I blanking on her name every time? I do this. I'm horrible with names. Chica and Gino. He wakes up in their house. Doesn't really know where he is, but he sees Gina there and quickly puts a blanket on her. He then gets a call from Rain, and I guess, don't ask me how, but I guess Rain has been watching the whole time, knows exactly what's up, and knows that he's in this household. How? I don't fully know. But she calls and says, you're not leaving this cute girl. And basically says, hey, you know what? You know what? It's pretty obvious that these people have no connection to the Dark Gundam, so we should just leave them alone. Let's just leave them. Let's give them what they want. Domon says no. They could have connections to the Dark Gundam, and also, being a Gundam fighter, I must fight him. I must fight him and win. And Rain pretty much gives up, knows that Domon's mind's made up, and just goes with him. Next morning comes, Domon's out here waiting, and Gina did it again. Gina awakens to see him there. She pleads with Domon, please don't fight and just leave us alone. Domon says he really can't. He has to fight. And then Chico shows up. Tells him to leave. It's a lot of leave, no. Domon refuses, so he decides to fight. Domon and him are preparing to fight, and in that moment, Gina collapses. They need a Dr. Stat, and that's where he goes. He's going to take her to a doctor because she really needs a doctor. Domon calls Rain because he knows a doctor, obviously. They get in a truck. Domon comes along and says they're going to help. We get into town and we start seeing guards all over the place. Randomly. Apparently they've always been there, but I don't know. They say, hey, we can't get to the doctor. What are we going to do? Then our old friend from earlier shows up and says, come with him. He has a spot. They go there. They set Gina down. Chico's panicking because he doesn't know what to do. They need a Dr. Stat. And Domon comes in with the save. And Rain is there. Rain sees Gina and immediately throws everybody out. And tells Domon, while I'm giving this girl an examination, while I'm giving this girl an examination, nobody should enter. And Domon, if you enter, I will never talk to you again. I am kidding you not. That is what happened. And I love it. I love this show. It is ridiculous. It is insane. But for some reason, it makes sense. But continuing on. Domon basically calls her insane. The day continues. And if I can get this right, they start hearing marching. And they notice that Chippity's here. Domon says that's the last guy you want on to be bothering us. We cut back into the room where we see Rain's examining Gina. Got it right that time. Still want to call her Gracie for some reason. And Rain starts realizing that there's something up here. Like, there's something seriously wrong. But outside, you get Chippity's. Chico's face is all over the place. Chippity's like, come on, Neo Mexico's fighter. Where are you? You too chicken to fight me? Come on out. Come on out. You know, come on. And he has the Mexico government behind them, and they're convinced that this will pull out Chico. And it kind of does. Chico shows up, prepared to shoot Chippity with a blow dart, because, again, he just wants to be left alone. And when it comes to realize why he wants to be left alone, you kind of feel for the guy, and you're kind of on his side. And Chippity's just a loudmouth here. But he goes in for the shot. Halfway point. Comes back, and Domon is stopping Chico. Because he knows that attacking Chippity out here in the open will bring him more harm than good. Chico pulls out his knife. In the tussle, Bonnie notices the light hits the blade, reflects into Bunny's eyes, and Bunny notices that Chico and Domon are there. Everybody notices that they're there. Chippity's excited because he gets to fight both of them. Well, he thinks he can fight both of them. The Neo-Mexican government is shocked to actually find him. And they tell everybody to... Basically, they tell the guards to start taking aim and firing on... If I can get the shot just right. Yeah. They tell the guards to basically open fire. And just start shooting. Because Chico's broken the law. And it must be terminated, I guess. I don't know the rules exactly, but they want to take out Chico, I guess, and replace him with a new fighter. So they're fleeing. Old Man comes to get him out of the way, and they are now to be pursued. Chippity isn't happy because he thought, hey, I thought we were just going to fight. I didn't think I was going to assist in you killing the man. And kind of that weird comment I said earlier about them not liking foreigners and stuff like that. Yeah, that comes into play, and he says, hey, you're not even from this country, so keep your neck out of it. And Chippity's kind of pissed. We cut back to the hospital. Forgot to mention, big surprise, somehow Gina escaped and is heading off somewhere. And we don't know where, we don't know why or where or how, for that matter, because I'm pretty sure Rain was there the whole time. Some plot points that make no sense. Things just happen. Still love this show. Chico comes in. He's pissed. He's getting up in Rain's face. Domon comes in and says, hey, knock it off. And in this moment, we get the realization of what's wrong with Gina. Gina is sick. If you haven't already figured that out. But she's sick with an incurable disease that you can only contract from the colonies. Actually, that can potentially happen. Diseases that only form in a separate space that affect everybody. No disease. Haven't had the proper time to isolate it and maybe make a cure. Who knows what it is. And in reality, Gina only has a year to live. So because of that, Chico's whole plan was to basically become a Gundam fighter so that they can come down to Earth, live in Neo Mexico, and work on the ocean like they always dreamed to do. And just try to do that for the year. Just live in peace for a year with his little sister, giving them the dream that she so desperately wanted, that they both wanted. And that is that's a punch to the gut right there when you see it all play out. Now that's the whole reason he did this. And granted, he's getting shot at and try to get killed, but he's only doing this for his beautiful, his lovely sister that he loves so much. Domon says, knock it off. You're a Gundam fighter. You're a fighter. Don't give up. Your job is to fight to survive. You are to figure this out. So where is she going? Chico's pissed, but he ends up realizing that she's probably heading to their house. They start noticing that the guards are coming around, so they have to immediately escape. As they're heading off, again, that was the last of the old man. But as they're heading off, if I can get the shot just right, a guard notices them and radios everybody else to follow them. We then find Gina on the way to the house, and she's basically about to pass out. How she got there, don't know. She's super sick. Dumb decisions have been made. Let's just leave it at that. So she's about to pass out, and she falls down on the ground. Luckily off the road. We get that continuation of, hey, I just wanted to be left alone with my sister because I love her so much. She only has a year to live. I just want to find her and survive with her. And they end up finding her on the side of the road. The government pulls up behind them and is prepared to fight. And basically, Chico has to make a quick decision. Turn himself in and either continue being a Gundam. I don't quite remember this part. Either continue becoming a Gundam fighter, either return to the colonies or flee. Because that's your only decision now. You have broken essentially your agreement. You're not fighting for our government. You can either return to the colonies for punishment, or you can continue running and remain a fugitive. Gina says she doesn't care what he decides. If he has to run to the colonies, he can. And basically the idea that Domon tells him continues. That, you need to fight. You're a fighter. Go ahead and fight. So, with all this in mind, Gino apologizes to his sister, gets shot at, but then jumps into the ocean. Rain and Gina think that he's fleeing like a coward, but Domon knows better. Domon knows he's going to his Gundam. And with that, Domon does the exact same thing. Because Domon has a plan. Startup sequence begins, and we'll just quickly jump through that. Ba-ba-da-ba-da. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And then we get the actually pretty cool shot of, I can't get it right, a really cool shot of Tequila Gundam, because I'm not calling it Spike Gundam, coming up from the ocean. Gina's an awestruck, but is kind of sad that he's deciding to fight again, because he doesn't want, he doesn't want to fight, and she knows that. But Chico said, with this fight, this will be my last fight, and we'll just leave it at that. That way they can quit bothering us. And he apologizes to his sister. And then as the fight is about to commence, he gets fired upon by special armor units from Neo Mexico. And as they're firing upon both Domon and Chico, they start getting shot at themselves by our Neo-American friend, Chippity Crockett, and Gundam Maxter. I can't get the shot just right. Anyways, yes, Gundam Master's coming in to save the day to help make sure they fight, and he wants to fight Domon as well. And Domon tells him, nope. Gundam regulations are 1v1. You gotta wait your turn. So, Domon and... I just blanked on his name, and I was getting it right for the whole time. Domon and Chico begin fighting, and Domon quickly just removes Chico's arms. And he basically tells Chico, hey, I just won. It's over. You've lost. Return to the colonies. Chico tells him, just finish me. Just end it all. Gina says Gina's worried because, he's basically lost. They have no way to end this. He's going to have to head to the colonies. He says, just finish him. And Domon says, you're a fighter. Fight. Learn to fix your problems. But he does exactly as Chico wants. And does a shining finger attack directly on Chico. Again, reminding him, you're a fighter. Fight. Figure this out. Fight to survive. And in doing this, Domon, I couldn't get the shot right, but in Chico's pod, it was exploding. Domon was going maybe a bit too far and ended up completely destroying Tequila Gundam. I'm not calling it Spike Gundam. And is basically, it appears that he has killed Chico in the process. Chippity comes up behind him saying, hey, you didn't have to go that far. I think you have really disgraced yourself. You're a bad person. And Domon essentially tells him, listen, I just destroyed the Gundam and I made it look like Chico died in the process. In reality, the Gundam fighter Chico is dead. Chico is still alive. So that way Chico can live his dream. And Chippity Crockett's like, oh, that's actually a smart idea. But the people on the beach don't actually know this. So Gina's falling to the ground crying. Rain has to radio it in, telling him, hey, he passed away in the process and it was an accident, so nobody gets penalized. And we have to pronounce him dead. Neo Mexico's government says, you know what? He died a Gundam fighter, so he'll get honorable marks. It's sad that it happened, but it had happened. They really don't care. They just wanted the unit. They're more pissed off that they're out of the match. Rain apologized to Gina. Gina's there crying, and then from the ocean, born anew, Chico! Chico arrives and says, hey, because I'm now pronounced dead, we fake... I'm just starting to realize this is like a Spanish telenovela. He faked his death, so now they can live happily ever after together. That actually kind of makes sense. I never thought of it that way, but... Anyway, so Chico faked his death so they can basically be left alone. They can live out the rest of this year. And nobody will ever bother us again. And Gina's basically ecstatic that her brother's back. Domon wishes them a farewell. And we get this final moment that it hit me in my feels. Gina and him are in the ocean on a boat, obviously. And he says, it's weird. Going into the water was like, I died when I went into the water. Because she asked, how did he survive? And he said, I didn't. But when I came out of the ocean, I was reborn a new Chico. That way I can live my life with you. And Gina says, if I go into the ocean, can I come back anew? Can I be reborn and not sick? And we don't get I don't quite remember if Chico gave an answer. I think he said it's possible. I don't remember if it was yes, no, or if it's possible. But when you hear that line, when you hear that hit you in your gut. That punched in your gut, because she doesn't want to die. She wants to live this peaceful life with Chico down on Earth with her brother and live her life to the full. Live her life. And she's about to die. She's gonna die before she's seen the world, before she's done all this cool stuff. She hasn't got a chance to actually fall in love, have a family, do any of that, and it's sad. And that's something that Chico has to realize, is like that she's gonna die, and he doesn't know how to protect her, how to save her, how to do anything for her. And that's a thought that I think scares a lot of us. Scares me sometimes. But with that, let's go back to our main scene. With that, the episode's done. And I think, even though this episode, there's ridiculous parts in this episode, I know this. But even though there's not plot points, things just happen because it has to happen, because story-wise, maybe not make the most sense. But when you sit down and think about what was the message, what happened in this episode, what is the big takeaway of this episode, and it's just a simple story of a brother wanting to protect his sister in her final days. And when you look at it like that, it's a quick 1-2 to everything that you care about. Because let you into my own life. I have 2 siblings, a younger brother and a younger sister, and if my little siblings were in a situation like that, I don't know what I would do. Honestly, I don't know what I would do. It has to the people that have to deal with that, I'm deeply sorry, and I think it has to, it's utter shit. But this episode, because we're starting to get in, maybe some of these things are very contrived. Maybe things just happen because they need to happen. But the story's there, and what the story is giving you is a deeper message and a deeper storyline than what we're getting from Rings of Power or She-Hulk. Whoo! But with that, the episode's done. Honestly, all the contrivances, all that stuff set aside, this is possibly one of my favorite episodes. And I'm going to have to give it a 7 out of 10. Not just because the episode's a 7. Because, let's face it, there's things that happen because it has to happen. Don't explain it that well. But that gut punch it makes you sad. So, with that, if you like the video, share it out with your friends. Leave a comment down below. Hit that thumbs up. Click subscribe to all the links down below. Twitch, Twitters, whatever's. Rumble. If you're watching this on Rumble, subscribe to my YouTube for as long as it lives. I might start doing some Rumble stuff as well. I don't know yet. Anyways, though, with that out of the way, I bid you all a farewell and bye for now.